my parents decided to invite a lion dancer into our house to do some house blessings. And during the Chinese New Year period, we usually see lion dancers roaming the estate, and I always wanted for one of them to come into our house. Yeah. And after much pestering, my parents finally relented, and I was overjoyed when they finally agreed. It was very interesting to interact with a huge lion at close quarters, especially when I was very small.
I guess you could say that it runs in the family because both my dad and my granddad like lion dance as well. So in 2004, I was still in primary school, so we didn't have a lot of time to spend on work, honestly. So most of my time at home was spent watching videos and VCDs. Basically, this was from the 2004 Genting World Lion Dance Championship, and that was my very first exposure to lion dance. The high-risk stunts performed on the tall stilts were definitely breathtaking, but really it was the loud and lively instruments which caught my eye or ear the most and left the biggest impression on me. Seeing how the drums, the cymbals and the gong all could come together and be combined into a rhythm which synchronized well with the lion dancers really impressed me, and it was also the reason why I ended up being the drummer for the troupe.
I first joined NTU Dragon and Lion Dance Troupe last year. I joined because I've always been interested to know more about lion dance and the history behind it. Why some things happen certain ways, why we do certain things, and why we avoid doing other things. But I was always afraid to pursue it, knowing that I was not a Chinese person. However, this turned out to be something that I was wearing for no reason because everyone was so friendly and accepting. And I also wanted to learn the culture as well as learn more about the performances past the viewing as an audience and instead from a performance point of view. In a way, I was also influenced to join lion dance because I have a friend who was from lion dance, and seeing his Instagram postings really intrigued me to find out more.
I first joined lion dance in primary school, and I actually intended to join the Wushu team, but the queue for the sign-up was really long since it was the niche CCA, and thus my parents suggested me to join lion dance, which has a shorter queue, and persuaded me it was something similar to Wushu. I went ahead to join since I also had interest in lion dance since young, under the influence of my father, who also joined a lion dance troupe back in the days.
Our trainings are 3 hours a week, but sometimes when we have upcoming performances, we'll meet up to practice our routines. Off training, as I'm trying to learn how to drum, sometimes I'll drum my own study table, the drumming patterns, and revise them. My favorite aspect of training would be watching our coaches and seniors demonstrate new routines. As they come from a variety of lion dance background, there's a lot of different ways you can choose to interpret the lion, and it's very interesting to watch and try to integrate into our own performances.
One of the earlier challenges that I faced was a kind of language barrier because I have a coach who primarily speaks Mandarin. Then, of course, he tries to cater to me by trying to explain things in English, but then when he struggles to find a word, he will say it in Mandarin. But what touched me is that even without asking for it, people from the troupe will come to my side to explain and translate whatever the coach is saying. So it feels welcoming, and as a non-Chinese dancer, to have the group of people who are so invested to help each other.
Well, the biggest challenge that I still do face even now, I think, is the so-called stage fright during performances. Because as a young line dance performer, I do feel an additional stress and pressure to do well, because on one hand we are setting an example for other youth so that we can hopefully make them interested into joining this cultural activity, but on the other hand we also want to prove to the elder performers that we can carry on this tradition despite our relative inexperience. So that really does add some additional stress and pressure to our performances, although admittedly we should be using it more as motivation instead of being afraid of it.
What I enjoy most about lion dance is that you can express the emotions of the lion in any way you like with the lion head because you are one with the lion. I can choose to act in a very suspicious way when the lion sees something new, or act very courageously when I overcome an obstacle, or act in a very cute and adorable way to entertain the crowds. It is also possible to mix and match the dance moves in any sequence according to the situation and background of the performance. Sometimes in performances, we don't need to discuss what dance moves we are going to do, but as long as there is teamwork and expertise, we can improvise and come up with new things on the spot. I guess it's the flexibility and free will of this art is what I enjoy the most.
As a drummer, the part of lion dance I enjoy the most is being able to lead the instruments and to synchronize it with the lion dancers' movements. It's really a stressful job, I must say, but when it is done properly, it can be really rewarding. My most memorable experience in lion dance is probably the worst one also, which is when I messed up during performance so badly. I missed a lot of cues and I misinterpreted a lot of cues that someone else had to replace me during the performance. So that was really a low point for me in the troupe because I lost a lot of my confidence to be a drummer. But my troupe mates, they just gave me a lot of words of encouragement, and they didn't dwell on that poor performance. So this really helped me to realize two things. Firstly, that simply knowing how to play the drums well and actually performing them well are two very different things, and I still had a lot to improve on. Secondly, I realized that my troupe mates still had confidence in me and supported me as a drummer despite all the mistakes I made. So that really helped me to bounce back from all the mistakes that I made.
I want to be able to improvise a performance because the performance that we usually do are catered towards interacting with an audience rather than a high-risk gymnastic, stunts-based kind of performance. And so I want to be the kind of lion dancer that's ready to bring people joy anytime. I think this is a very happy thing to do, and it's a very nice feeling to be able to amaze and amuse. Lion dancing now has a much lower barrier to entry, and especially for females now, lion dancing is very welcoming to female learners, and some people even request specially for female lions.
My future goals will be to step into competition grounds again to compete with other capable lion dancers, and also to apply for the coaching license, so that I can continue to impact future members of lion dance, and to continue the spirits and values our forefathers have imparted to us. I would also like to tell other people that if an art is able to continue for hundreds of years until now, there is something worth to discover. And if you are looking for an activity that incorporates art, sportsmanship, and music, lion dance is the one for you.